Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host Matyash, and I have with me Shawna Romkey. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I said earlier, I love your background. It's really, it's like,
Yeah,
is it inspired by astrology?
yes.
Yeah, like sun
It's
sign, moon sign.
yep. It's I like it. It's cool. I'm a Gemini, so I dig it.
Okay.
Yeah. I have another one in my living room that's very fairy-ish, mystical. With
What's your moon sign?
my moon sign is a Pisces,
Oh, and what's your ascendant?
Cancer. I'm very watery. I'm very mystical, magical, intuitive.
Yeah, that combination. Gemini, Pisces, and Cancer. Wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I was into astrology, but I find that fascinating. Where did you go to a phase where you were into astrology?
Well, astrology is very important for people who are on a spiritual ascension path because we are influenced by all that planetary energies. And in our birth chart, it's the astrology shows us what lessons are coming up for us. So of course I had to learn because I was being affected. I didn't realize I was so sensitive to the planetary, what was aligning. And I noticed that every full moon I get a migraine. It's like so much pressure. So it's like a buildup of energies.
Well, so is it like the north and south node is one of them is like for
one of them is what we're bringing in. One of it's what we're learning. Yeah, like lessons and karma, or dharma.
Right.
I'm not 100%. I'm like it's not. I know enough to understand, but I'm not like an expert in it or anything.
Right. Me neither.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back to the beginning and how, because everybody usually has a moment or a crisis when the spiritual stuff starts. And I know you're doing healing now, but let's so the audience knows where you're coming from. So so what was happening in your life when there was a crisis or something?
Okay, I was one of those people that were awakened in the Great Awakening of 2012. There was a mass conscious awakening in 2012, and I was a part of that. But it didn't happen like wave a magical wand. How it happened is that I had cancer, and our body is a messenger, and it's always telling you you're out of alignment. Wherever your pain in your body is, it's telling you something. Well, I was ignoring all the messages from the divine. I was bottling up. I had a lot of wounding. I was in the military. I grew up gay, in a small town where I couldn't be myself. And
now, how small a town?
Oh, it was a backwoods town. I live here now, but out in the country. But when I was growing up in the 70s, I was born in 1970, but I grew up here, and it was so country and ridiculous. The people, they're very close-minded. So as soon as I was of age, I left and I went into the military. I ran away to the military, which I couldn't be openly gay there either.
Right.
So a lot of things happened to me in the military, and I just bottled up all these emotions. So what happened in 2012, I found out the doctor actually told me over the phone, hey, got some good news and bad news. The good news is it's not that much, because I went to a VA doctor, and the good news is you just have microcells. And the bad news is that you have cancer. And I was like, what? And that created a crisis. But the thing about it is the guy didn't know what he was talking about. I had no insurance. I had no way of getting help. The VA couldn't help me. They were geared to men at the time.
What was microcells? How was that supposed to be good news? Like, what is that?
He was telling me I only had microcells, but that wasn't true, because when I finally went to a real doctor outside the military, which the VA did pay for, it was a golfing buddy of his. He just said, oh, let's, I'll send you to him. I'll recommend you to him, and the guy, they have to do a surgery. So they were going to do a hysterectomy on me and, send me on my way. And they were just like, oh, we'll just cut it out. So once they got in there, they're like, oh no, this cancer has spread through her. It was in my immune system. They had to cut it out. They cut out like 21 or 22 lymph nodes, and the cancer had already spread over to my kidneys. So it was a late stage cancer. It already was, you know, on its way to different organs. And so I was left with having to heal myself and not knowing where it was going to go or the future, you know, in between that. So it developed a crisis. And once I was going through my treatment, it was like this volcano erupted in me and all these emotions came out, and I couldn't hold them in anymore. It was like a volcano. And they were sending me, I went to, you know, because they said, oh, you have PTSD from the military and all this stuff, all these things were coming up.
Why? Did you go to like, did you like go to Afghanistan or something? Or was it like the drill sergeant, like the PTSD from that, or?
No. It's sexual military trauma. So I was attacked by my own guys, you know, like I was in a motor pool. I had to go get a car for the sergeant. It was dark and there was nobody there. And these guys came in the fence and they tried to pin me down. It was a very traumatic experience. So I ended up escaping them, jumping over the fence. But I was taking so long that my sergeant was coming down the hill and she's like, what's going on? And so I told her, she took me to the doctor. I went to the doctor. So after that, it was just kind of brushed under. I had to write reports and stuff like that, but they didn't do anything.
Oh, man.
They because, let me tell you why. Because I was already under investigation for being gay in the military because I was an intel. And they said I didn't like men's attention. Well, no, I don't like being pinned down and forced upon. No, I don't like that type of attention.
What year was this? Like early 2000s or something?
1990.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It was before. You had
different time.
You know, yeah.
Different time.
So, yeah, it was just, I mean, I've had many experiences, especially younger. You know, I was a Muslim as a child and I tried to tell my parents and they didn't, you know, like, oh, whatever. You don't talk about those things. It's just brushed under. So it creates a lot of wounding in you, you know, especially as a child, you don't feel safe. So now here I am an adult. I'm going through cancer and treatment, and that when they cut the lymph nodes out, it created another illness called lymphedema, and my legs would just swell up and I would get infections and I would have to go I was in the hospital constantly. And it was like the cancer never ended. Even though I was in remission from cancer after all the treatment stuff, because I still had this other illness that was related to the cancer, it was like my cancer never ended. It was just continuing. It took me 7 years to learn how to manage that condition through diet and exercise. And I went through all kinds of treatments and I had more surgery on that because they try to replace lymph nodes from this side of my body to this side of my body. And
oh, man.
I was like an experiment. There's only 200 of us that went through that surgery where they were trying to figure out how to correct this illness. So meanwhile, in that time frame, all the wounding that was stuffed inside of me was shooting up. I didn't know what to do with it. They kept putting on medication because I was spiraling. Because when I would look in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. And because my body would be like body dysmorphia in a way, but I was getting like 230 pounds and then to almost to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And yeah, because one leg was like 2 legs and they were threatening to amputate my leg. And it was just so awful. Like I had to go through these treatment where they would do this massage thing, but it was not like a good massage. It was like where they were trying to move the fluid. And they teach you how to do it yourself. You have to constantly wrap your legs up so your body's always wrapped and it's elevated. And you know, you can't. I wasn't supposed to go in the sun. I couldn't go in the sun. They had to give me penicillin injections. Like I was living like a vampire. I was like, no, I cannot live like this any longer. And I told the doctor I was not going to take any medicine. I had to heal on my own because I was very empathic also. And I was taking on everybody's energies as well. I would cry at the drop of a dime for my own self. And I wasn't really in victim mentality, but I was in victim mentality. But I never said, God, why did you do this to me? I kind of knew automatically that I was being taken from one position in my life and put on another because my life just wasn't adding up. I felt like I was more. I should be doing more. And I was just kind of coasting through life. But when I got cancer, all of a sudden my life changed. Like my life became still. Like everybody's life was going on, but mine had stopped. And I started to notice things. The colors were brighter. I would notice like a blade of a grass. I was like, it has a crease in it. So when it rained, and I was watching one day, the rain would just go down there and feed it. I was like, I never noticed that before. I never paid attention to that kind of stuff. I never paid attention to butterflies or the color of birds or trees, how they swayed. Everything just became so clear. But at that time, I didn't know I had other options of the direction I would go in. So I took a more religious route. Like I went back to school for religion. I started helping the homeless. And like I was telling you, like a pre-interview, when I was noticing these things, I was driving to a doctor's appointment and I had stopped at the end of my street. And there was a hotel at the end of my street. I never paid attention to it, but there's 2 school buses outside of it. And kids are getting on the school buses like, kids live there? What? And this is back early when, there wasn't all this, well, we didn't know about the homeless crisis and we weren't paying attention to it.
Right. But they were not living in the hotel. They were living by the hotel or something, or.
No, the kids, there was families living in this hotel. But then I started to look around and I saw people with backpacks and pillows. And I was like, look at all these homeless people. They're moving around. They're at certain places. And I learned like their whole culture. I ended up, my grandmother at the time owned a retirement community, a mobile home park near Disney World. And I would go and visit her in the morning, have coffee and toast with her. And there was a homeless guy who used to sleep on her porch and she was afraid of him. And my uncles would shoo him away and yell at him and he would still keep coming back. So one day I saw him in the park and I said, hey, what's your name? And I started talking to him like he was a person. And he says, I said, what are you doing here? He says, I'm just collecting sticks. I whittle, stuff and out of wood. And I said, oh, okay. Can you please get your sticks and then go because you're causing some kind of havoc? But we became good friends and he started taking me around to all these homeless camps that were deep in the woods. Whole communities were living there. Here's Disney World, this magical land. And there's all these theme parks and people are coming, but just outside of that, in the woods and all the woods surrounding, I live in Florida, and all the woods where I lived were these homeless villages and camps. They had tents and they had pallet porches and they had flags and clotheslines and there's dogs and cats running around there.
Is this like South Florida or like it was really hot?
No, Central Florida.
Central Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the nearest big city there?
Orlando.
Okay. Yeah. Disneyland.
Disneyland. I'm saying I live right outside Disneyland. So, so I started taking care of the homeless and I would take my little, because I wasn't working this time because I was, recovering from cancer. I was getting a disability check. I think it was like $600 I had to survive off of that. And I had to stretch it.
Oh man, $600 in Florida is not much.
So I would go to the dollar store and I would buy bread and peanut butter and jelly and water, and I would pass it out to all the homeless people. And that would be my routine. So I went back to school, like I said, for religion. I became an outreach pastor to the homeless. I did that for 5 years.
Wow. What religion? What religion?
Just general religion ministry. My cognitive was like ministry.
Non-denominational Christian, basically.
Well, I grew up Catholic, but I went to a Baptist college, which was like night and day.
Right. It's a bit different, yeah.
Yeah, and I never believed in organized religion anyway. So, it's like I did I learned what I had to do to go through school and I wasn't really learning the same things as everybody else. I was getting something much different than they were because they were just following whatever their instructor said, and they were still in the box. They're very in the box religion. Yeah. This is, oh my gosh, I gotta whatever.
All
and
of
I
it
was
is
very
true.
out of the box. Yeah.
Right.
So after that was some time had passed, and then I was living with this karmic person who was just awful. I would be sick and they'd be screaming.
I love that you said karmic person.
Yes, very karmic, very karmic. She was undiagnosed schizophrenic at the time. She thought I was, it just added to my just added to the spiritual awakening, the whole eruption of everything that I couldn't take anymore. I didn't like her. I didn't like me because of how I would react with her. And she was triggering me. But at the time, I didn't know what triggers meant. I was going to counseling, and the lady was this little Italian lady, and she was very spiritual. And she would say, it sounds like you're mirroring and triggering. I'm like, I had no idea what that meant at the time. My mind wasn't even ready to be open to that. I was just trying to survive and just exist in life. I was just surviving, but things were happening to me. I was changing. And then it was 2018. There's a very powerful energy that happens in August, which we're coming up on now. It's called Lionsgate.
Oh, every August is the same.
Yes. And so what happened was when that karmic person finally left, and okay, so what happened in the story of when I was an outreach pastor, I needed some place to drop off the donations for the homeless. So this lady said, oh, you can use, I own a salon, and you can drop off the donations there and you can come pick them up. So I said, oh, let me patronize this person because she's doing this for me. And I started getting my hair done there and my haircut and dyed, whatever. So when I first started going there was a young girl, she disappeared, she went away, and the chair opened to another girl. And I was like, okay, I guess, I'll go to you. I don't really know you. I like to stay with the same person. But as soon as my karmic person left and I was in this girl's chair, and I've gone to her several times, something happened that day. I had spent 3 hours in a chair. She was dyeing my hair, and she was so close to me. There was some type of connection established, or it was already established, but it was remembered. There was some type of remembrance.
Wait, I can't get over the fact that it's 3 hours. So you said 3 hours. It takes 3 hours.
Well, for your hair to be dyed and processed, and it takes, now even my hair is short, it takes me all day. It takes me like 4 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that it takes such a long time.
yeah, it takes a long time.
All right.
So, but that's why it costs so much money, right? You gotta, it's a whole step. Yeah. So that's another podcast.
By the way, I was so I was preoccupied with something because something bothering me in my family. I guess my karmic family, but I usually never take but I took this one. I usually take a Christmas theme, but I just highlight that when I went for a drink, I was like, oh man. But anyway, so she was dyeing your hair and you were starting to get close, basically. Yeah. Well,
the whole time that I've met her over the couple past months that she was cutting and doing my hair, I was trying to hook her up with my brother, and then she was telling me she had a son, and then she was telling me that she had a girlfriend or whatever at the time. Her first girlfriend, I was like, what? You had a girlfriend? You never mentioned this before. You like all of a sudden the stuff started, she was talking to me, but anyway, the whole, it's almost like she wanted to invite her, after the session was done, the hair was done and I was getting ready to leave, and I have a little farm, so I had to run home to my animals because it's late. And I was hungry because I spent half the afternoon in there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get some Chinese food. And she's like, oh, I love Chinese food, almost inviting herself with me. And I was like, I don't know. So I didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, I felt strange, like something had happened.
Right.
And as the days went by and the weeks went by, I was like, I don't know, I something, I want to get to know her. I want to, but every time I would call her and talk to her, we started texting and Facebook messaging, whatever, and it was real light, just what's going on, and we were laughing, ha ha ha. And I said, every time I invited her to go somewhere, she always had plans. She's always busy. She's always running around, hustling for money or whatever. And she would have events because she does makeup and and hair, and she would do it for weddings and stuff like that. So she was busy. And then finally, I don't know what happened. So that was in August. And then in October, she started coming to my house at the end, the middle of October.
How does that conversation go? She's like, can I come over to your house? Or
no, it's one time in passing, I had said, oh, you should bring your son over to see the animals. And then she didn't do it. And then one day she just showed up. Hey, you home? I'm coming over. Okay. All right. And then after that, every week she would come over with her son, but we wouldn't really talk or anything. It was so weird. It's like if we had already been in a relationship and we already knew each other, but we didn't have to talk and we were just comfortable with each other. And it was just very strange. It's just strange. So
right. So you're not really together. She was just coming over to visit, and
yeah,
not
it was
just
like the day.
or
Well, no, she would hang out with me in the house, and her son would be outside with the animals and run around in my yard and stuff like that. And in November, the last day of November, the day we laid on the couch together, she stayed all day with me. She came over in her pajamas. She dropped her son off at school, and we were together all day. She went and picked him up and came back, and we laid on the couch and we held each other. And the next day she was like, whoa, this is like intense. I just got a relationship like with somebody. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And she took off, bloop, run, but we still kind of, she's like, I'm sorry, but this is the twin flame dynamic. I didn't know anything about twin flames. When I met her, I didn't know anything about that. But let me tell you something. I don't want to go deep into twin flame dynamic stuff, but that's when my healing started. All of a sudden, when I connected with her, I dropped 80 pounds, like, because my life was changing, like all prior, because the ascension path goes in layers. But prior to that, my soul was like, okay, you are ready for the next level now. You are ready to heal, because everything was coming, bubbling to the surface. And now you're ready to heal. And I was just like, I didn't know what was happening. I started trying to research this connection. I never felt a connection like this before. It was almost obsessive in a way. And out of all the things I was diagnosed with, it was never obsessive. I was almost emotionally not available because of everything that was happening. And so it was just so strange. I was just like, I'm a grown person. This person is 22 years younger than me. And oh yeah. Wow. So I would think it was 48 at the time, and she was 26 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So she would come back into my life, and it would be so weird. And then she would disappear, and then she would come back in my life and disappear. And we stayed in touch, and sometimes we would trigger each other, and we would just ghost each other or block each other, and then we wouldn't. And then we stopped doing that. And now 3 years later, next month will be 3 years for us in our connection. And I've changed so much. It's because of the triggering, and it just brought up, like, they mirror you, which means they reflect your wounds back to you. And I reflect my wounds. We're catalysts for each other. And so it's like, but it has this romantic pull to it. So you always have a push-pull going on.
Right. So okay, I haven't really talked about twin flames before here, but I'm curious, how do you know if is it somebody that you have in your life and you're not really romantically interested, but you have?
No, you are romantically interested. You are romantically.
Oh, you are. Okay.
They are not, like a dangling carrot. You're like a dangling carrot. They are. And that keeps you on the journey. It keeps you focused on your healing, because the only way to this person is to heal. The only way to get back to them. So I remember at the beginning of this lesson, I started doing research, and she's the one that told me about twin flames. And because we were looking up karmic, because I was talking to her about my ex-person and how karmic she was. And I had come across twin flames, but it was very negative stuff at the time.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of positive information. And I just wrote something on Facebook. You know, I channel messages all the time. I have a lot of gifts and abilities. And what happens is that connection with her was not only the remembrance of who she was to me, but it was a remembrance of who I am. And that is a divine light being. And I was coming more into my sovereignty as I was healing. And as I was healing, I was remembering the gifts and abilities that I've had throughout my lifetime. And I started with the light language. You know, I became a healer and a divine channel. And people from all over the world were contacting me for healings. And some of these people would have like thousands of people on their YouTube channel, and they would find, I don't even know how they find me, to tell you the truth. They would just find me, and then I would heal them, and they would keep coming back to me. But I don't want people coming back to me as I don't want to enable people. I want to be able to heal them and give them the tools and set them free.
Right.
You know, and I'm very blessed in a way that the way my life has worked out, because I was in the military even the cancer was a blessing in disguise, and my illness, because it kept me on the right path. And I have to eat healthy, I have to be healthy, which helps me be at a higher vibration. And I don't have to work. I'm retired, and I get a very large check, you know, monthly.
Wait, from the VA or
from the military? Yeah,
military. Okay.
Because I won the case of things that happened to me in the military. You know, they were denying it, but I end up, you know,
winning the case.
And so, yeah, it's just like now I'm blessed with just being able to be focused on my healing journey. And that's all I do. I'm isolated. I live by myself. I have my animals. I go outside. I'm in nature all the time. I find it very hard to be around people if they're not working on themselves, because they will be triggered. You know, they get triggered by me a lot, like especially my family. And for example, and I just can't be around it anymore. So for example, this is how dysfunctional my family is. For Mother's Day conversation was this. And I went to spend time with my mother, and we had just, you know, I have four other siblings. I have 3 brothers and an older sister. Mm-hmm. And my father is very narcissistic, you know, is very controlling and stuff. So we're sitting there, and the conversation was about drinking, drugs, vomiting because they were so drunk. This is Mother's Day conversation. And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, I can't believe this was acceptable to me at one time. And I'm like, I had to get out of there. I can't stay in that. And then the next thing they say, and this is a very loaded topic, is, why haven't you got your COVID shot? This is a low vibrational conversation. And then they're trying to force a COVID shot to me. And I'm just like, you know, there you go. Not only are you so low vibrational that you're in fear, and I do not buy into that fear culture. I'm not a part of it. And I told my mother, if you continue with this, you know, I said, that's your problem, that you're in living fear. You have a choice to come out of that. I said, but do not try to push that on me, because that's not how I live my life. That's unacceptable to me. And I don't want to hear any more about that shot, you know? Right. So I had to block her for a time. I don't listen to the news, and she tries to tell me what's going on in the news. And I said, you know, Mother, there's a reason why I don't listen to the news.
Well, yeah, there's 2 things here, like the family. I think my family as well, there's a lot of, I don't know, stuff I find difficult to accept right now. But also the COVID shot. Let's go with the COVID shot first, because like, most of the guests, I would say 90% are very, very against it. I don't like it myself as well, because, well, for the simple fact that I don't think it was tested enough, and also there's side effects, and also we have the immune system. We are strong enough to survive it. So, and them pushing it so hard, it's just like, it's
here's the thing about that. First of all, they say the shot has nanobots in it, which is a technology, right? Why do you need a technology? Technology can be controlled. And I'm not a conspiracy theory person. If you cannot ward off something, and this was a man-made virus, and that's probably why you can't ward it off naturally. It's man-made. It's not a natural thing that you find in the environment, because if it was a natural thing found in the environment, your body would be able to build an immune system to it naturally. So now they're pushing. Now where I live, they're using such fear tactics. They're saying, oh, there's another version, a Delta version, which, think about what a Delta wave is. A Delta wave is the lowest, you know, deep sleep, right? Subconscious.
Right.
So it's like, you know, very interesting that you're naming it, you know, this Delta version. So, so they're saying now that there's a new strain, and it's only affecting the people that haven't got the shot. And these people are dying. They're dying. You have to get shot. So, you know, they know that family members and friends are going to put pressure on the rest. They want 100% vaccination. I find that interesting. They're really pushing to have 100% vaccination. And what it reminds me of is, the other day I was cleaning out my closet, and I used to be a big fan of the Walking Dead show here in the United States.
Right.
And the hat fell out. And I was like, you know what? Those zombies remind me of all these unconscious people that are in fear. And then Rick and his team, that were surviving the zombie apocalypse are the only conscious people left in the world because they're surviving,
Sorry, I've never seen the show, but is the hat coming out of the closet? Is that symbolizing anything?
The hat, because it was The Walking Dead. I was a big fan of the show.
Okay, got
it. Just fell off. I have a little hat collection, and I was just reminded of how I used to sit there and almost like we have neighborhood block parties watching this show. It was
right.
The survival, the survivals of the fittest and what we would do if this zombie. But the thing is, the zombie apocalypse has happened. But it's the fight between the conscious and the unconscious. There's a divide between like those people who just refuse to wake up, and all these things that are happening in the world are to force people to wake up. COVID forced people to isolate, to just be with themselves,
Yeah, that's the only good thing that came out of it, I think, is that people, some people, you could say their financial lives also were ruined, but that maybe brought them.
That makes them start over. It humbles you.
Yeah, I hit bottom.
My knees. I couldn't work. I was broken and brought to my knees because I thought I was going to die, and that changes you. Now I have a friend that's a police officer, and we were in the military together, and she said that COVID is what opened her eyes. Like, really? You put your life in danger all the time, and COVID's what's opened your eyes?
I mean, whatever it takes, different people, it takes different things.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing is, it's the first time they're watching TV, I guess, or paying attention to the news, so they didn't know that racism was still alive in the world, a lot of people. They didn't know that these things were happening. And then,
but then I think racism gets so overused by some of the far left. It's almost like the insult has almost lost the meaning, because they would say that certain product, like the way it's that it's racist.
Marketed.
Yeah, and all that stuff, like and then they changed some of the. Like even the NFL changed the name Redskins to something else, I think, because
and they took a lot of statues away that represented history, things that happened in history. You cannot remove history. You cannot erase history. It's a lesson to be learned, to look back at your past and say, look how far we've come. Look how far we've come. And we can do that in our own lives every single day, especially when you go through a spiritual awakening from the time I don't recognize myself, and I would have never in a million years, because how my life, I went through so many changes, so many drastic changes. I would have never, if you had told me 7 years that I would be here, like not on this podcast, but having my own podcast and over 15,000 followers on TikTok, and that was just in 2 months. I got those followers in 2 months.
Wow.
Because people are so. I can hear thunder in the background. People are so desperate or eager for one connection, but two, they need authenticity, because you can sit there and give information out and act like you read it out of a book and people don't connect with it. But what I do is I share my own personal, my experience. So once you go through this stuff, you can now hold out your hand to somebody else and say, look, this is how I got through. This is how I got over that cliff or up that cliff or over that hole. You don't need to fall in there. I'm going to show you how to get around it, And it reminds me of when I was in the military. I went to this rappelling school, and I was on a little island in Korea. And you had to build, you had to go over this river, but you had to build, you had to loop your belts together. And you had to help the other person with your belts, with your team to get across.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel. Like, let me show you how to connect these belts together to get you across that, whatever rocky or thing that you can't see yourself out of. Like the other day, a guy came to me who was very suicidal. And I'm just like, well, don't you think a clinical person would be more? No, I don't want to be on medicine anymore. I don't want to, I just got off all the medicine I took, and I related because I took myself off my medication too. And I told my doctor I was going to do that. So he's like, once you get these diagnoses, people judge you. It's hard to get a job. So, messages start coming in for him. And then you can see, I said, you can't see it right now because you can only see it from here. But when you get past that and you can see it from the higher mind, this higher version, and you can see where your life is going, this is only a moment in time right now. It's going to pass. And I could see his life play out. I could see what was happening and why he had to go through the same things. And most people that are brought to me have the same gifts and abilities as me. And he was so empathic. He was so gifted. And that's what it was. He could hear, he could feel, he goes, people could walk in the room and it's almost like I can chase them. Like, it was a weird how we explained it, but it was like their energy. He was absorbing their energy and their emotions, and it was taking a toll on him. So I was telling him how he could shield himself, and he just did it. And, I did my light language with him too. And it just changed him like 360. Now he's looking forward to life. He's looking forward because now he can change his perception. He understands, why he has to go through this hardship or why his life is playing out the way it is. And everything has a purpose, even if it's the most harshest thing that we go through in life. First of all, we agree to it before we come into this life.
Yeah, it's hard to believe sometimes, isn't it?
Well, this life is just about our soul growth and experience, because it's a school for us. Yeah. But of course, once you get down here and you're in the thresholds of it and you're feeling, oh, no, take it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get that contract back. No. Let's omit this.
Hold on. Is it possible that you can tear up certain contracts? Because let me see. There's certain modalities. Theta healing is one where certain contracts that don't serve people, supposedly you can tear it up and say, no, the contract is no longer valid.
But let me ask you a question. Okay. Why would you write a contract in the higher realms that would no longer serve you? That's a human mentality that, that's like the human ego to think that our soul would know what is best for us, for its growth, not for our human growth, but for its growth. Because the higher realms there's school there also, but it's like reading a book. You're not putting your hands on it. You're not tasting it, touching it, whatever. You come to earth and you are merged in the feeling of it. Like when I was in Korea, I learned Korean because I was thrown into the culture, and I still know more Korean than I know Spanish. And, pretty much everything's bilingual, Spanish and English here. And
right.
To experience it and to, all the sensations of taste, touch, whatever, we are immersed here in this world. Right. So to say that we can end a karmic contract by recognizing it and healing that aspect of us and that aspect of ourself, but most of the time we're redoing it to heal it. Right. And then we got to change direction and do better.
So on that note, I think during the session one time, I think I did for one or two, I did kind of throw away, but maybe the devil's advocate argument could be that perhaps, you've grown so much and the old contracts doesn't serve you anymore. That would be my only come back to this a line of reasoning.
A lot of times we need visualization, or we need to do a ritual or something to say this is no longer us. We are at another level. Sure, you can visualize that, but as far as really the divine's concerned, you're not really tearing up a contract. You're not really. Well, you're just elevating yourself, and that's okay. You can elevate yourself, but contracts, we have these soul contracts for a reason. Some people say there's no contract. Some people say a lot of things, but
right.
Our human ego gets the best of us. It really does. We want to think that we know more than the divine. We want to think that even though we are in essence God, because God is an intelligent consciousness that we are all a part of, our energies all attached in a stream.
Okay, so if we are God, then why can't we throw away the contract?
You can do it. Look, yeah.
You can do whatever you want, you're gonna say.
Hold on a second. You can do whatever you want. Which contract do you want to throw away? Let's we can burn it. What contract do you want to get rid of? Because really, we have karmic contracts and they expire. They do expire. Everything has a time and a place. There's divine timing for everything. We have to learn the lesson. You can't just say, I'm not going through this and not learn the lesson. But once you learn the lesson, that contract expires. You even have contract. Me and you have a contract. We have a contract to meet and have this conversation right now. Every person that's come in your life, you have a contract with.
Every person, or isn't there
every person you have agreed? You have planned out your life before you come here.
Yeah, but let me see. How do I explain this? I think there is always a set of options, and but only you have a few options, and then if you move this direction, then you have a different set of options. So, but it's a little bit on.
Do you think you really have options, or are you a hamster wheel, or on a hamster wheel spinning, and you think you have options? Do you?
Maybe it's this slight gradation on the hamster wheel that eventually moves the thing a little bit to the left or to the right. I don't know. You know, it's hard to see. Like
Earth is a free will plane, a dimension, and so we do have free will. But I think you have a path. I used to think that we have different paths, but we have the same destination. But then recently, I was looking at something, and it's like we only have one path, and you go forward or you go backwards. And I was like, what? That's not something that I'm usually thinking that we have many different options,
right? And
to get to the same destination. So I'm not really sure about that. You know, we think we have options. Sometimes we think, but the thing about it is that divine will always supersede free will. So if you're meant to do something, I think it will happen. You know, I mean, I think that once you sign, or if you have something, because we all intertwine, we all affect other people's lives. Like I was telling the kid that was thinking about committing suicide. When you see in the future how your life intertwines and affects everybody else's life, and now you just took yourself out of the picture, there's connections that are going to be not made. There's going to be things that are not going to happen because you're not there. And every life is important, and every life has a purpose.
Like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life. You know that movie?
It was a long time ago since I've seen that, but
right. Well, the movie starts with people praying for him and saying, please help George, you know, all that, because and then they do help him, but to the movie they show him what life would be like without him. So the whole movie, most of the movie happens in a place where he is seeing life without what the city would be, what the town would be, what his friends would be, what his mother would be without him being there. And it's totally different for the worse. You know,
I can hear my dogs in the background. I don't want to hear them. I close the door.
Okay, but I heard the thunder, and thunder is impressive.
Yeah. It's thundering pretty hard. That's why they want to come in and be under my feet, because of the thunder.
Right.
But yeah, so you know, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. It's something that we won't know until we transition, and then we'll know all the answers again. You know, I don't know.
Right. And I have a theory about that sessional theta healing. Maybe in the session they say, oh, the contract is broken, but it's not really. Maybe it's that as well. That's a possibility as well, that we can't break the contract.
I think that we can't. I don't think that we can break a contract. We think we can. We like to think that. So we cannot break anything until we learn the lesson. We will repeat it. You know, people go into the same relationships. They're different faces, but it's the same energy, same toxicity, same, you know, if you are meant to heal a narcissistic wound in you, you will attract narcissists. If you are codependent, you have to break out of these things, because you will keep attracting them to you. And like after that last relationship, I mean, I've been celibate for like 7 years because I am not dealing with that again. I'm like, so, no, I'm just like, no.
So what does a codependent relationship look like? Because I think there's some confusion around that, because I'm thinking, are they really involved with each other? Are they they can't live without each other, or they do everything?
No, a codependent relationship is not the relationship, because a lot of people are trauma bonded together. They just come together because of the wounding, and they stay there because they're most people act and react from wounds, from childhood wounds. So codependency is that you have that wound within you. You're codependent, and you will, it comes out different ways. Like codependency is when you need validation from somebody else. Codependency is you don't have that self-value to be alone. You don't have that. I have written it down. I forgot. I did not bring it. I don't know where I have it. Yeah, I wrote it so beautifully one day, of how codependency plays out and what it looks like. And think about how people get hooked on drugs in a way. They become codependent on it. And relationships are kind of the same way. It's like, it's a fear. It's a fear of people. It's like a lot of times people say they love somebody, but the thing is, you can't love another person until you love yourself.
Right,
you
right.
Can't. How do you know what love really looks like? And as my own example, my last relationship was codependent. There was nothing healthy about it, but I didn't want to be alone. I felt like I needed to have somebody because society says that we're supposed to have somebody, otherwise we're not of value. And I could have broke that contract, right? By getting rid of her earlier, but for some reason I felt like I was rescuing her because I was trying to save her, you know what I mean, in a way, and that was a wound within myself that I had to heal. So codependency can show up in many different ways, but it's like you feel like you need somebody else you just don't want to be alone. You just don't want to, a lot of the time it's a rescuer wound. It's a lot of time it's like you feel like you're rescuing somebody. You feel like you can save somebody else.
Yeah.
And here it is. Codependency is, and thank you, because they just put it in my ear, is you give to get. A lot of people who are codependent, they give to get. They're going to give you love. They're going to be the best version, the best wife, the best husband. And really, they're just, because they want that in return. It has nothing to do with their own energy or their own how they are. Because once you become independent, you give from a place of unconditional love, not conditional love. And codependency is a lot of condition. There's a lot of condition there. And
right. Wouldn't that make most relationships codependent though?
Most relationships are codependent because they don't take the time to heal from their last. Some people just jump, and I was a monogamous relationship person. I would jump from one relationship to the next. I would try to take time in between, and one time I jumped like this next day I was with somebody else.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was like 5 years to like
the rebounds. Yeah.
Yeah, but I cried for like a whole year about my ex to my new person, and that was awful.
Man.
Like I didn't heal. And even taking 6 months, it's like you need longer than that because there's so many wounds that we don't recognize. And once you start digging deep into, and there's so many names that people give for healing, and there's so different modalities. Like I was talking to a girl now, I interviewed a girl the other day, and she was talking about, I said, what's the change in you? All of a sudden you're on fire. I saw your Facebook page, and I saw that she was talking about the difference between power and authority. Like she was arrested, and she said, you know what? I stayed in my power because I didn't give in to fear. I submitted to the authority because I'm like, okay, you want to frisk me? Go ahead. If you want to take me to jail, fine. I'll just pay for it when I get there, whatever. It was, long story, but she still stayed in her power because she didn't give in to fear. And a lot of times we're looking for validation, cultural validation, family validation.
Yeah.
You know, society, religion, you know, that says, oh, we have to be with somebody or a certain age, we're supposed to have a family, we're supposed to have money, we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that. And really, we're not following our heart, we're following our mind. And there's a disconnect between our heart and our mind. And most people, I was following my heart when I went with him. I loved him. I stayed with him no matter what. And he was a piece of whatever to me. And he beat me and this. And they don't realize that they're being a martyr, first of all. Nobody's asking us to martyr ourselves. And that's a wound within them that they feel like they need to stay. They have no self-worth, no self-value, and no self-love because they stayed in that relationship. I don't care if you're married or not.
Right. Well, can we do because you said that this is an interesting one, because sometimes I have this dynamic of trying to follow my head too much rather than heart. Like, although this podcast was not a rational decision, like totally, it was just like, something I wanted to start and I just did it. So.
Yeah, because this is your spiritual mission and purpose, one of them anyway, because you have many other purposes, but you are going into your mission. This is part of it. And this is what I like to do too. I have my TikTok, and I like to, you know, I do healings and I give a lot of information on healing tips, on what to look for wounds and how to heal those. And I do, you know, my light language healing. I give channel messages sometimes. I come on live. I do a live on Fridays. I like to do one-on-one healings of people, but then it gets so, like one time I had 200 people and there's no way I could do 200 people in an hour. You know what I mean? I needed a moderator. I was losing.
What if you do like, because you said the interesting thing, following the head versus the heart. So how do you, would it be possible to do like a light language thing for that people follow their heart rather than the head?
Well, you see, light language is not a cure-all for everything.
Sure.
Light language has many different, it's a very powerful tool. And the thing about it is that a lot of people run to healers and they don't take the time to go within and heal themselves. Now, the difference between logic is your ego gets in the way and your inner child is talking to you constantly, and you're wishy-washy, you're this and that, or if that. The heart is the higher mind. This is the divine, lives in your heart, and this is how they speak to you. And the heart and the mind, they have to be balanced. You know, the scientists have found that your heart actually has memory. It has neurotransmitters just like your brain does. When you balance those, you start, you know, as you heal. And it's also a balance between the masculine and feminine energy within you, because we house both, and both have to be balanced. And what happens is every person on the planet holds a masculine and feminine energy. And a lot of times, because of the wounding, they're distorted. So when you heal that, you become balanced. It also balances your logical mind and your heart. You become a whole balanced person. And that's when you start attracting and manifesting things into your life, because everything is vibration. So the more we release, and the more we release our old ways of thinking and old patterns of things that no longer serve us, our vibration raises. And we start attracting things to us at our vibrational level. We talked a bit about that yesterday. And once you reach union with yourself, you will attract a person of the same vibration and like-mindedness to you. Yeah. And that's when you can have this beautiful relationship, a very healthy relationship.
Right. There's a quote I really love, and it's always kind of striking to me. It's kind of like, oh, I wish this wasn't true, but it probably is. It's by Eric Butterworth, who used to be, he's dead now, but he was a Unity minister. And he said, it's not about finding the right person, it's about becoming the right person. You know, it's about being the right person, basically. So And I think that's so true, because you have to, like you said earlier, you have to like love yourself, and you have to be from that place in order for, when you have to like what you're doing, like your life, so that you attract somebody that is kind of the same as well. If you don't like yourself and all that, then you're gonna attract a person that's coming from a similar place, I think.
When you shift out of the perception of money, ego, lust, you know what I mean? When you change that person who you are, and you start healing, it will shift. You will automatically shift from your logical mind into your heart's mind. There will be a shift, but it's not like they will balance each other out. You know, we need our ego. Our ego is made to protect us, but there is a higher expression of ego and a lower expression of ego. And that lower expression is pretty much our inner child. And when we're wounded, we stay at that level. And that inner child is always trying to protect us. But you don't need a child to protect you when you're an adult, because, you know, so the difference between your adult you and your child you is the adult you is responsible, you know, and you're doing what you got to do, and you're clear and you're grounded. The inner child is good because that's your playful, your unconditional love. But when you start going into fear and anxious and anxiety, and you can't make up your mind on what you want to do, that's your inner child. That's your inner child. So a lot of people don't know how to recognize the difference. And it's a lot of, you know, an awakening process is more than reading spiritual books and, you know, sounding smart or conscious. It's walking the walk and talking the talk, and like really digging deep into, you know, because on Facebook, I flip through these things and these people are writing all this stuff. And I'm like, look, buddy, nobody understands what you're saying. For one thing, my divine team always tells me to keep it simple. And
all right.
For all levels to understand, you know. And the thing that is needed to awaken up the conscious mind is you have to go within. And a lot of people want to run to everything outside of them. They want to run to gurus. They want to run to this. I mean, the person should only give you the tools from their own experience.
Okay.
And if they don't have the experience, they should shift you to somebody else and then release you so you could do it, not to enable you to keep, like a crutch, to keep coming back for you to do the healing for them. That's why the light language to me is I do it. I can heal people's aches and pains. And I can give you a sample of it because I know you want me to do that. But light language is used for so many different things. And I see a lot of people, you know, it's an activation. It's a way to channel. That's how I channel. Here's another thing about light language is that a lot of people don't know what light language is, but they do know what maybe speaking in tongues is.
Yeah, I have Christian friends that do. Well, I'm Christian too, but they okay. So they do speaking in tongues, and one time my good friend told me that. So one time he was somewhere and he heard somebody speaking in tongues, and he's like, "Yeah, I know what he's saying." Like he got the spirit of it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, I've done healings, and somebody from a religious background will jump on my thing and be like, how do we know you're not from the dark and you're trying to, you're a deceiver? And I'm like, look, buddy, you don't have to listen to it, and you don't have to be on my page, you know? And it's like, light language is the highest vibrational frequency, and we cannot do it on our own. Like my gifts and abilities, because the gift is so diluted in the human that we don't have the higher we don't hold the higher frequencies. And so we need help. And we have that help through channeling angelic beings or galactic beings, or, you know, our ancestors or whoever we're channeling. But you should know who you're channeling, because some people have no idea. Oh, it's the Holy Spirit. Yeah, it could be any spirit. It could be any spirit. How do you know who's jumping in you? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem as well. Like, where's the voice coming from that's telling you to do something? Like, where, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I protect my energy so much. My house is protected. I have
I usually smudge before I start a podcast. I smudge, and that helps me, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I got my plants. Plants are first defense for negative energy.
Oh, they are. I didn't know that.
Incense. Oh, my house is full of house plants because they protect you. You put plants in there and they start to wilt. I mean, you got to water them, but if you're watering them and you're giving them sunlight and they're starting to wilt, and there's something wrong with them. They're sucking up negative energy in your home.
Oh, really?
You can also use lemons
here.
Put some fresh lemons out, and if they start to wither really fast, you got negative energy in your home. Yeah. So, but
you said okay, let's go a family, because family is huge, and like I said, I have certain issues. I'm speaking just generally here, but I'm not happy with what some family members are doing, and feeling like I'm being kind of kicked out in a way, not welcome back. Like, but it's also a process of like something that should happen, but I'm like, I find it hard to accept, and also the way it's done and all that stuff. So, but I think it's by design. A lot of like, I think we choose our family, you know, and then it's like,
yeah, they're your soul tribe. They follow you, and they follow you, and you play different roles with each other to learn. Everything is a learning process, but you're learning how to stand in your power. You know what I mean? You're learning to be, you don't need their validation. And you after a while, it won't bother you, won't trigger you at all that they're whatever, because when you become a different vibrational frequency than somebody else, you cannot stay in the same space with them. You cannot. And I will tell you how the energy grows. Like first, when I was first healing, it was just my 6 to 8 feet, and now my vibration, there's a name for it, the vibrational energy field, starts with a T. I can't remember now. I just went blank. But my neighbors, they do anything I want. They try to please me, and that's how I know my energy field has gone to blocks now. Blocks. Because the old man across the street, he used to shoot my ducks. Like, we were not friends at all, and I didn't want anything to do with him. But now he comes over. He wants to give me free stuff. He wants to help me. He's always, are you okay? Him and his wife are always checking on me, and they never did that before. Like, I was like,
oh wow.
And then I have another neighbor over here, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, they work during the week, but they're only off on Sundays and Mondays, and they work construction. They work hard, so they party hard too. 4 o'clock in the morning, it's still boom, boom, boom. I can hear the music, and most of them were drunk and passed out anyway. So I go like this: turn the music off. All of a sudden, music's off. They are in my energy field. That's all I have to say.
Because it's so big. Wow, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's expensive. The lady across the street, I used to come over there and get popcorn all the time. I can't eat popcorn anymore. It's too much salt. But she would be like, she never talked to me before. And then all of a sudden she's like, hey, the popcorn's in. Popcorn's in. She's so happy to see me. I'm like, that's how you know that your energy field has taken over your area. The blocks, because people will just be so nice and falling over to help you, and they're in your high vibrational energy. The other negative aspect to that is, if they are so low vibrational, they can't be in your space.
Yeah, there's a family member that we have like I wouldn't say he's like in a negative energy space, but I would say it's a different one. So it's like,
yeah.
And there's constant conflict about, because he doesn't approve of certain things. Well, he thinks I should be doing that I'm not doing and all that, because to him, I appear like to be lost. Like, what am I doing? What is he doing with his life? He doesn't have a job right now, and his age, blah, yada, yada. So he doesn't understand, so
it's not for his understanding, though, because he is never going to awaken. it will take him almost till the time that he dies. He will not open his eyes. He just refuses in this lifetime to shift from that low vibrational person.
Are you like are you getting the
Yeah.
messages from this now, or okay?
Yeah.
I was thinking like, how do you know this stuff?
Yeah, that's what happens. You're just there's info, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just like before I came on the podcast, and I was like, sometimes I argue with myself, like, I'm not gonna say anything. And I was gonna ask you if you had a relative that passed that had a scar on his face. Sometimes I say something and like I'm not gonna whatever, I'm not gonna.
Maybe my mother had something that after an accident she had a little bit, and then I think it got carried on to my sister. My sister was born with a similar kind of.
No, a man.
Oh, a man. No.
That's something for you to figure out later, because
okay.
They're like, tell him I got a scar on my face. Like, he should know what that means. I don't know. That was earlier. I was picking that up earlier before the podcast. So sometimes I don't know. Like when I do my live, messages will come in for people, and I'll just say stuff. It will come pop in my head. I said, look, I'm going to say the first thing that pops in my head. There will be colors. There will be, I will just see things and I will just say it. And then people will come back to me later and be like, hey, this is whatever. And one time I was like, I don't know, man, I feel like my heart hurts. My heart is, because I can pick up other people's, it's like a medical empath. I can pick up their pain and stuff, which I don't like too much.
Yes.
So I was picking up her heartbreak, and what had happened is that her mother had passed away, and it was the anniversary of her death. I wouldn't know that. I could just feel her heartbreak, you know what I mean? And then I said, well, I know we kind of got off topic a little bit, but I can feel, I said, I see like this yellowish, phlegmy stuff in your throat or right in this area, whatever. And she was like, oh, I have asthma. My asthma is acting up or something like that. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what, it's not me. It's not my life. So I have no idea how these things, so yeah, you're gonna have to go ask somebody.
Do you think that something like a light language was used in Atlantis, like back in the day? Because I know they used something, and then they misused it apparently, and then the whole thing collapsed. So you have to use it for good, obviously.
Well, light language, what people call speaking in tongues, okay, like that was the first language. Okay, if you look in the Bible, in the story of Babel, the Tower of Babel, they're speaking a language, and they call it tongues of the angels. Paul called it tongues of the angels in Acts. Is that was the first language given to all of humanity. But then when they tried to build that tower up to the divine, they're like, nah, we're gonna scatter you out and change your languages. Right. So really, it's the first language, but to me, speaking in tongues is a baby language compared to light language. And I do a video on this and I explain it, because tongues is the first language we are given. So some people can only do that level, but once you heal and you're healing and your vibration, your light body, which is our vessel, our light body is activated, and it's getting it can hold these higher vibrations. You can now hold more energy, and you can now, it's kind of like going to school, like you're in elementary school and middle school. As you heal, and then now you're like a college professor, and you can now channel light language. A lot of times people think that they're channeling stuff. And I was listening to a light language. It was bothering me yesterday, because somebody said that they were activated. And so I said, well, you're speaking a Palladian language. It's a galactic language. And so they kept sending me these activation things. I'm like, why are you sending me that? I know who the person is. I'm not going to say who their name is. But the thing which bothered me is her light language bothered me, because it was so gentle, and it was almost held back in a way, because people don't want to scare people with their light language. So they make it gentle.
Yeah.
and soothing.
You know,
to appeal to audiences.
Yeah, yesterday when we did a short thing on me. I forget what we did it for. It completely
we did it for your to do your homework. Procrastination.
Oh my goodness. So what came to me was that there was almost like a figure of something that was scared of what you were saying. It sounds ridiculous, but there was almost like this a layer of something in front of me that was like running scared of what you were.
Oh yes. Let me tell you something. If you have any type of negative thing around you, any type of energy around you, they are scared to death of my light language. They are scared because I use one of the two most powerful angels, which is Archangel Michael and Archangel Phanuel. And I didn't even know who Archangel Phanuel was until I was praying out in the yard in light language, and something tried to attack me psychically. And I heard this whole stream of a title come out. And I was like, what? It took me 2 days to look up his name to see. I was like, oh my gosh, he's a real angel, because at this time I was like, I never heard of him before.
Aye.
And he's the angel of repentance and hope. And he does exorcisms of Satan's and stuff like that. I was like, he's my angel. He's my personal angel that protects me. But he comes out, him and Michael go out, and there's nothing dark that can live in the light. Darkness is afraid of it.
Would the people have multiple guardian angels and stuff like that?
People have a council. They have a council around them, because our council is made up. People think of angels with wings and stuff like that, and that's in the Bible and stuff like that. But really, these are beings of energy, and they have different personalities or different energy signatures that you can tell the difference. So I say angelics. I say angels because people know what angels are, but angelic energy. So you also have galactics. Your galactic beings that are helping us. But there are bad galactic beings that have tried to take over the world. They've tried to steal knowledge for years. But there was a lot of, like you're talking about the Atlantean times and stuff, information was hidden. And if you, do you know Amram? Do you know where the Dead Sea Scrolls were? And
I know about the Dead Sea Scrolls. I've heard of them, but I don't know where they were from.
A place called Amram. I might be pronouncing it wrong because I've got my American accent, but
right.
But they were hiding Atlantean technology there, and they had this modern stuff, and this is where Jesus went to school, because people don't know that when he disappeared or whatever, he went to a school, and the school would send these people out to, like Jesus went out and he had disciples, you know what I mean? And other people went out just like him all over the world. He wasn't the only one. And so, where was I going with this? Because now all I see is Atlantean technology. We're talking about that.
Right.
But, so they try to hide this information, but the way the divine hid information was in plain sight, and that was hidden in our DNA. We have dormant DNA that the scientists call junk DNA, but really that is kind of like alien hybrid DNA that is now being activated because of the vibration that is in the consciousness that is waking up on the planet.
Would you say that the consciousness of the world is rising?
Yes, just look at the Schumann resonance. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's the heartbeat. The heartbeat of the planet is usually at 7.8 hertz.
Because to me, it looks like on the surface, it's chaotic. The political situation, all that, the level of discourse is lowering. But maybe that's maybe there's a saying that an evolution of consciousness brings a revolution. So maybe that's what's happening, because like things are looking so chaotic. And to go a little bit in politics, I thought that Trump was trying to do a good thing. Oh, I actually can't talk about it on YouTube what I thought happened. Actually, they're gonna censor me. Okay, basically something happened, you know what, in the election. And then but now we have this guy Biden, and I thought, man, this is crazy. And so, but maybe if America's
I'll tell you this, that I don't follow politics.
Right.
But
you get the sense of the energy of the country you live in. Like, do you sense any changes?
Everything happens for a reason. Just like we have catalysts in our relationships, we have a world catalyst events, catalytical events that happen.
Yeah.
Like tsunamis and these hurricanes and these mudslides and all these deaths and political figures that, you know, they are all catalysts to our change in the evolution. That doesn't mean, you know, I just see it as those things and those people need to be in place at the time to create that change, whatever it looks like. And yes, it looks bad in a lot of places. You know, there are all the rioting and stuff like that, but that rioting and, you know, when people are lashing out on Facebook and all this stuff, all that does is further perpetuate the negative energy in the world. And how it happens, where our consciousness is raising. Because I don't know if you ever seen that picture of the people and there's just one person that has a light within them, and then it spreads to the next person, the next person, next person.
I can imagine.
COVID is a virus, but so is consciousness. Is like a healthy virus. It's like the cure, you know?
Right.
So that's what happens. It's not anything outside of somebody, but it's everything that takes place within somebody. That is the change. That is the change.
I truly believe that. Yeah, the Gandhi had a quote that one pure, unadulterated love of a person, like pure love, can counterbalance millions of people that are in fear and stuff like that, you know. So.
And then that's why you want to go to the twin flames. And then that's why these beings here, twin flames, are coming to the earth. Galactic, these babies are being born at, these starseed babies are being born now to raise the vibration. You gotta look at a child now, they are so high vibrational, so smart, that are coming into the world today. And that is because they're tired of how the world has. We're the only species in the galaxies, all the galaxies, that doesn't realize that we are one. We are all connected. We are the only one. Everybody
I find it hard to believe.
Well, no, I'm not saying that we're the only one in the galaxy. I'm saying we're the only one. All these other galaxies and all these other species can use telepathic powers, right? Like they can just speak telepathically.
Oh, right. Okay.
The human race is the only one that doesn't know that they can do that. They don't practice it. They don't understand that we are all connected, and everything that we do affects another person energetically.
I have an idea. This is totally out of the box, but look, if I had a football team or something, like, or soccer team, because it's more players, like you need them to be kind of connected to each other. And especially if you had a new team of players, now bear with me, you have a new team of players, they don't know each other, you know, have them go to a place where they have to be silent for 1 or 2 weeks and live with each other and all that. And that way you induce that telepathic connection pretty quick, I think.
Oh, you make them go live in a monastery?
Yeah, why not? Do it the hard way, but quickly.
I mean,
would that work, you think?
I think throwing them into chaos would work, because they would have to. That's like in the military when you have that bond with your person, or you're supposed to have the bond, but you know, you go into a wartime and those people become your brothers. You know, because you are thrown into an event that you don't know the outcome. It's unknown, and that's what's happening with the world. That's what happened with the Twin Towers. That's what happened. Why all these things that are happening, they happen because it throws us together. It creates, you know, togetherness. So doing it like the COVID thing as that example, that we had to isolate and be, stay at a distance and stuff like that. That forces you to go within, but it forces you to look and be with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to be by themselves. They don't want to sit in silence with themselves. They are not a friend of themselves at all. They don't like themselves. Right. And that's why they use anything and everything to escape. They drink, they party, they do drugs, they work, they're workaholics. They will busy themselves with whatever they have to prevent themselves from just sitting still and going within and taking a good hard look at themselves and their life and where they're at. So, but that's what a spiritual awakening is, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to look at the uncomfortable stuff for sure. I'm meaning to. Okay, so you said you can't do it on general. What about I guess something on me?
Oh, no, wait, you want me to do the light language, right?
Yeah. Well, I
can do a general blessing. I can do a blessing. I can call in the angels and do a blessing for people.
Yeah, just so the people see what it's about. I want just a little taste.
You want a little taste? You got your headphones on, so you're going to really...
All right. I'll be all right.
Okay. I'm going to do just a general... I'm going to ask Archangel Raphael to come in and do a general healing on people, healing whatever they need, because the divine knows what people need. I have no idea as a vessel what you need to be healed. I don't need to be told. What I do need people to do is to be still and be in a quiet place, to close their eyes, to take 3 deep breaths. But as they take a breath in, breathe in this green ray, because the green ray is healing. And then when they're taking it in, you breathe it in, have it go all through your head as the breath is breathing in, all through your whole entire body. And then you breathe it out. And then you take another deep breath again and breathe in that that green ray and let it go all through your body. It's going to find whatever you need to heal. And then breathe it out. And then one more time, take a deep breath in, hold it for a little bit, and then breathe it out. My intention is to be a channel of healing energy, and I call in Archangel Raphael to assist me. Ramano obolege asito shonogaria rebetigine nduba tubaya siti kishini tikete yabaraba tagayano badata takatagia oboko suno shodigia boshune ere kle kormono bayato koto somoti yarga bete kasete shitikini dare aremando koto basete shitikati yamuto koto protekasse to pola karamano barato kubiete katata shitikiti tubanyo to pra ata ro omando koto sotto to shotikiyane katiyata pra atiti shitika mondo koto bara mondo arge ke tutto possa shitikito bara ata manne gitiko. Sending love, light, and blessings from the angels. That's
amazing. Sounds like a warrior, like a strong warrior clan language.
I don't hold back. I don't make it sound like it's not supposed to sound. I give it the raw power that it is. And that's what it is. It's a very powerful expression of the divine. It's a very high vibe. And like my whole body, look at I got my whole tingles. My hairs are standing up because even before I started, my eyelids were vibrating just a little bit, and my feet, I can feel it into my whole body. So I love being able to channel the divine. I love because what happens is they show me pictures. That's how I know a lot of times what they're saying. Sometimes I hear voices, sometimes I'm just shown pictures. And for some reason, I was shown in tarot. Not everybody knows what tarot is, but there's a tarot card and it shows the chariot. And it shows 2 horses, but a guy riding a chariot and the 2 horses, and there's clouds in the background, like he is racing forward, he was racing. And he had well control over these horses and he knew exactly where he was going. And, so something is coming very positively to somebody. like something good, something like, I guess whoever's looking for a relationship or waiting for somebody to come to them or something good. It could be a job or no, I don't know. I think it's a relationship. I think somebody's waiting for a relationship and they're waiting for that person to come back, and that person is coming at full speed.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see.
So you get like for the people in the future that are gonna watch this as well, like you get the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, what I was telling the other day that yesterday when we did our pre thing, that when I did that energy to remove negative energy, I saw them in my mind in people's homes, and that was pre-recorded. I saw them going in different homes, different things, just wiping things out of that house, taking, entities and cleaning the house and just airing out different houses, many different people. And that's how it works. There's no time. There's no such thing as time.
I always find that hard to wrap my brain around it, but I guess, yeah, I try to be, what I'm studying is left and right brain, economics and theater. So it's like both.
That's interesting. I mean, why theater? Why theater?
I dabbled in acting when I was in Edinburgh. Now I'm moving to Glasgow, where the university is. But I liked acting. I liked also writing, and I did a few shorts with my friend Adam. So and I enjoyed the whole process. So,
do you know that in the first churches, when people had come to the Americas, and they were breaking away from the Church of England, and they had these like tents kind of set up as their churches. Do you know that it was the lesbians, right? Is that the correct word? That got people in the seats of the churches. And what they would do is they created this devil and flames and that fear, the scare, to scare people into the churches because they wanted to make money.
Oh, wow. So somebody would play the devil outside?
No. Oh. They would come up with this story, this whole elaborate story on, you know what I mean, to get people into the churches. I learned that in school.
Marketing.
In a Baptist school, of all things. Yeah, it was marketing, all right. There's economics.
Get people sit in the pew, man.
What better way to get somebody to, to fork over some money is fear, but.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, before we close this, because I know it's going on a while, about tools. You said, is meditation and prayer the most important tools there are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to go inward. You have to be able to sit and go inward. And it's it's really hard for people to stop the chatter. And it was for me too. But if you think about it, say you're washing the dishes and you're just zoned out. That's a form of meditation. Sometimes my meditation is just walking around my horse pasture. I'm thinking, but sometimes I'm not thinking and things are just coming in. I'm just enjoying the now moment. And I think people should really try to bring themselves into the now and not worry about the future because the future hasn't happened yet. Right. That fear, but meditation will help with that. Meditation will help you bring into the now, to focus inward, because all the answers that anybody ever needs in their whole entire life are already there. We have lived so many lifetimes. We have all that information there already, and we have access to the information from the divine.
This is more of an academic question, but do you have access to it's a weird question, but do you have access to information, how many human lifetimes somebody's had? Because I was going to ask for me.
No, that's in Akashic records.
Oh yeah. Okay. That's a different skill.
You have to go there. You can actually ask before you go to bed is the best time. Early in the morning, you wake up is the best time to meditate. And right before you go to bed, you can ask, hey, can you take me to the Akashic records? Ask your divine team, hey, can you take me to the healing room? Take me to the Akashic records, take me to our Hall of Records, take me to wherever, and you will go there. They will take you there.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll remember. I mean, if it's a very lucid or vivid,
right,
you'll remember.
I'll try that. Cool. So where can people reach you if they want a session or something like that?
I have a website. It's a betterlifecoaching.info. I'm on TikTok, a Better Life Coaching. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm here. You can find me. Or Shawna Romkey, you can find me.
I'll put the links in the description so people can find you.
I was going to ask you, do you have a TikTok?
No, where's my phone? I have a brick phone actually, but still, I'm refusing to get. But I think maybe I could still get on TikTok and post clips without a smartphone. It's probably possible. Entirely possible.
Well, they only let you do like at first 60 minutes, and now they're letting you do 3 minutes clips. So when I do interviews with people, I have to chop it up: part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like that.
Wow, that's
But
do you put the whole thing on YouTube or not?
I do put it on YouTube after I edit it a little bit, because we're always talking to me. I don't like it raw. I like to cut some stuff out, and then especially if I'm doing an interview and we're talking back and forth, but then I'm telling a lot of my stuff and I cut that out, so it's just an interview about them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, but it depends on who it is. And I do put it on YouTube. This one I haven't yet. The last one I did.
Well, I might in the future. I might take some clips and put them on different platforms. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shawna, for being on. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed this too.
And thank you, everybody.
Maybe I'll interview you next.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching the podcast.
Take care. Thank you.